All right, guys. So for part two of the second one of these mini labs, there's on the beaker there is 200 milliliters of water boiling or heating up. Anyway, it's getting. I took the temperature, but it's probably like 50 Celsius or so. So what I'm going to do with this, I'm just going to turn this hot plate off. So that water is warm to like 50 Celsius. So what we're going to do with that is I'm going to pour half of it into this beaker, half of it into this styrofoam cup, and we are going to watch how those cool down. So we're going to take the temperature of the water in here. We're going to take the temperature of the water inside the styrofoam cup. Okay, and as we do that, then we're just going to track the temperature. We're going to track the temperatures as they go. This is temperature 1 is going to go in here with the styrofoam. Temperature 2 is going to go inside this beaker. Okay, and those temperatures are just up because I had them in the water a minute ago. So you don't have to worry about those temperatures right now. We're going to get an initial temperature once we get those into the beaker and we're ready to go on that. Okay, so I'm going to very carefully take these tongs and I'm going to pour this until I get 100 milliliters in here in this beaker. Right, so 100 milliliters, and then so there should be 100 milliliters, or very close to it inside that styrofoam cup. Okay, so we're going to take these temperatures, the lid on here on this guy. Okay, so we got water in that styrofoam cup. We got the styrofoam cup on top. That's the one that's at 61, and then we got water in this beaker here that's at 56. So why don't we say those are our? Let's start timing right now. Okay, so timing at 0 is 61.0, and 50 55.9. And then let's see this. It says 10 minutes on our sheet. We might be able to see what we need to see in less than that. So let's start a stopwatch. Okay. And see where we get to in a minute from now. Okay. Okay, so the temperature is going down, right? Because the air is cooler than the water, so that water is losing heat energy to the air. So what we're tracking is really like, does one of these two, like, do they lose heat at the same ratio, at the same speed, or does one of them lose heat faster than the other one? And then what are the factors behind that? Okay, so at 1 second here we got 59.6 and then 52.9. Okay, so 59.6 for the styrofoam cup, 52.9 for the beaker. Okay, so that's at 1 second. Okay, we'll keep going here, right? They keep going down a little bit. Eventually, these should, if we let these sit long enough, they'll go back to 22 or 21 Celsius, which is room temperature, right? Because the heat will all be transferred out into the surroundings, which is, the air, the cup, the table, the surroundings. So we were talking about the word, let's see, well, we're almost at 2 seconds here. So at 2 seconds, okay, right here, we got 58.4 and 50.8. Okay. So the system, we talk about the word system and surroundings sometimes. The system we're studying is really the water, okay? The surroundings is everything else. So everything around the water, the glass, the air, the table, anything that's around the water. Okay, so far it looks like the beaker's lost 6 degrees from the start, whereas the styrofoam cup has lost 3.3 degrees Celsius. at this point here. Okay, and we're getting close to 3 seconds. Okay, so at 3 seconds, we got 57.3 and 49.1. So in that last second, the cup lost, styrofoam cup lost 1.1 degrees Celsius, whereas the beaker lost 1.7 degrees Celsius. Right, you're probably thinking to yourself as we do this, right? We use styrofoam cups for a reason, or thermoses. We use those things for a reason, right? It has to do with, you know, like if we talk about like hot chocolate or coffee, you put that in a styrofoam cup, right? Why is that? Oh, because it stays warmer inside there than it does in like a paper cup or a plastic cup. So, you know, if you kind of think about it, which one should hold more heat? From our experiences, is probably the styrofoam. As we're getting close to 4 seconds, styrofoam cups at 56.2, and the beakers at 47.6. All right, let's just we'll get a 5-second reading, and then we'll call it good there. So it looks like we're getting what I think we need to see. Okay, so in that last second there, the styrofoam cup went down by 1.1 degrees Celsius again, which is kind of the trend the last few seconds. And the beaker went down by 1.5 degrees Celsius. So, you know, it was 1 point something the last couple minutes too. And yeah, that first minute, it probably went down a little bit more because by the time we got everything set up and the clock started, it might have been a little more than a minute. But, you know, we'll see. So maybe if we could, you know, extrapolate kind of from there, the styrofoam should be about 55. The beaker should be about 46 when we call the next second, which is right here. So 55.1 and 46.3. Okay. So we can stop recording in the data table at this point. But yeah, if we look at those, the cup went down from the start to finish 5.9 degrees Celsius. Right, we lost 5.9 degrees Celsius. Whereas in the beaker, we lost 9.7 degrees Celsius. Okay, so, and that was pretty consistent, right, throughout each second within there, that water, we lost more energy in the beaker than we did in the styrofoam cup. Okay, and that's what you need for the second part of the lab.